Well, that's the one. Because I think I now have everything live. It should also automatically be sound balanced because that's how I record this one as well. Yeah, I'd say we're good to go.
Yep, you're certainly alive.
I'm certainly alive. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not dead.
Live, not alive.
I'm certainly a live thing. Yes.
Certainly are.
It is building theory on castle story. And there we go, the Discord knows, unless they've muted the channel, in which case they don't know, so sod 'em.
No problem.
Yeah. Oops, I seem to have I was watching this to make sure that didn't happen. I was using up a few planks, so I thought, I'll get some more process, and then I got distracted by you, and now I've actually got too many planks. I blame you.
Yeah, it's all my fault.
All your fault. Oh, yes. Just check. Yep. Any issues with sound, or are we good?
I have muted the stream, so I haven't heard anything. But let me quickly
Well, that's useful.
tune it up.
Thank you.
I am a bit loud.
Right.
Maybe 20% or so.
I thought you might be. Hang on. How do I adjust your volume again?
Right
Oh,
click.
wait. Oh, yeah, there we go. You're at 122% right now, so I'm dropping you to 95. There we go. That should fix that. I'm hearing a lot of echo.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I muted the stream.
Okay, yeah, that seems good. Okay.
Yeah, certainly seems about right now.
Oh,
The game might be quiet, but it's a quiet game. So
the game is
whatever.
always a bit quiet anyway, so yeah. Unless some background music would be desirable. Let's get poor old Kerberos in here. He's just a little spark floating around.
Yeah, I think some quiet trance-like or other ambient music might not be off. Just so it's not just us talking, but
hang on, I need to. I don't normally set anything up for Castle Story, so that's like. And I should also do intro because people are actually talking in the chat now. So.
Yeah, see it. Hi, Lola.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hello
Crispins.
there. Hello, hi, Crispins. Welcome to the stream.
Is there a Crispin Senior? Is there a Crispin Junior as well?
Not seen one, but Crispin Senior has always been Crispin's name, as far as I can tell. So.
Yeah, in Discord he's only Crispins, so.
Oh, same guy. I thought it was, but I didn't want to assume.
He has at least the same logo, it's the same name, so that's the reason.
No, can't be the same guy. No, definitely not. Right. So it's the music for trance, you said?
Something that's quiet background music, not distracting or action-packed.
So rock music then.
Yeah, heavy metal or something like that.
Right. Let's see what this one is like. That's dance music, that. No. As you guys probably noticed, this is a bit more of a casual stream. That's why we're not quite with it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you're also in the sandbox, aren't you?
Yes, I am in the sandbox, so there's no risk of corruptrons.
Can you spawn some for testing?
I don't believe so. At least I've never seen an option to do so. Hang on.
Would be nice.
Would be nice, but apparently we don't get that option. I don't think. I will double check.
Maybe you can build them. Building your own corruption spawner.
I'm tempted to just go on to that star control one that I kept using for Avorion.
Yeah, sounds fine to me.
Well, there's one here from Zelda too, actually. Temple Trance. A bit high pace, but yeah, definitely trance.
I wasn't actually literally referring to the genre, just in general something like that. But
Does that
yeah,
sound okay?
can't tell it. Muted you again, as I was saying. So you'd have to rely on the viewers for that. Now that you got some.
Yeah, okay. He literally only plays Realm of the Mad God. I haven't talked to him in about 3 years. The junior Crispins. Oh, okay. Sorry for not responding to that. Anyway. Oh, hey, how's it done? Not too bad. Hope you're doing okay. Anyway, I should probably actually get started on the stream. We're only like 5 minutes in.
Not as bad as the other one we did a couple days ago, where we were like half an hour in.
Before we even did anything.
Before we did an intro.
What
like 20 minutes or something.
What is this intro you're talking about? Let's get a couple of extra stockpiles in here. It'll get rid of us some stuff at least, because we're actually overstocked on a lot of stuff now. And we need a couple of furnaces too, just to produce mysterious MacGuffins. Anyway, what are we going to do? Oh yeah, there's also the castle story music as well in the background. Of course there is. Hang on. Damn it.
If it can go wrong, it will go wrong eventually. So better get it out of the way now, so you're done
music
with.
80%, kill that. There we go, dead. Anyway, yes, welcome to Castle Story, where I know what I'm doing. Or not. Something. Set these guys
You know
to...
something. That's
something, yes, something. Right, what we're doing is, this is build theory. So, basically, that's why I'm joined here by the one over there, Mr. Hazedan.
Yeah, the gunship spamming Raszul.
They don't know that yet, because I've not put any subcon stuff out. So, yeah, they don't know that you're a gunship-happy bugger who just lags the game. Yeah. Okay. Too many gunships.
Just 500. Or was it 400? Yeah, 490.
470 odd, I think it was. And it only lagged the game.
Almost
so.
500, so what?
And yeah, Christmas is laughing at that. He knows exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, it's this is meant to be like talking about theory for this game, which is why I've got a set of stockpiles already set up, resources already gathered. But we're going to be focusing on like tips and tricks for building and people's suggestions and things like that, taken from the comments and what Raszul can come up with. And the music stopped. Hang on. Because I got distracted by you saying get feedback from the watchers, so I never actually set it to repeat mode. YouTube repeater. Wonderful thing. Okay. That's now looping. Okay. And now I've got random junk in this stockpile, which I didn't want there. I still really wish there was a way to build stockpiles without it doing that. Maybe in some other lifetime. Not this one.
Or maybe once they add mod support or something.
Once we get mod support. Maybe. Let's build another 6 stockpiles here, actually. Apply them. And those will hold just raw stone, because we do need that for glass, so... You know. Anyway, yes. We're here for, as I said, just talking tips and tricks and building styles and things for...
While we're on the subject of storage, I actually got an idea for that.
Well, I've come up with one here, if you've not noticed already, which is like these 3x3 grid arrangements, which are actually fully accessible.
These H ones?
Yeah. It packs them more densely than the usual like double layer rows. So...
I meant more like where to place them, not how they are designed in detail.
Well,
like
this stream is about any and all, so you know they both fit. I just need to figure all this stuff out.
I thought that it might be prudent to actually split your storage into 2 parts.
Right.
One part that's a little bit further off, intentionally, like in the very back of the base, out of the way, which is basically unsorted storage, can accept everything. And another set of storage that is set to specific types of items, near to the core of the base, where they have to pass through in order to get to the general storage. And since they prefer the near storage, they should be going to the specific ones whenever they can. But if those are full, they will still store the stuff in the general one.
Yeah, the thing with that one is, of course, a lot of it depends on base shape and where you're putting your fortifications, how easily you can do that. So it can be a bit tricky to set up, but yeah, that's a general strategy kind of thing, isn't it?
It is.
Anyway, as you see, I'm not geared up like that, so I'm going to be ridiculously inefficient, of course. Thank you, Raz. Though,
this is a test stream, not a game where it counts, so...
Oh, so this is all pointless. Right, thank you.
Nope, this is learning.
But yeah...
The up there, for example, would be ideal for general storage.
Yeah, this place here, that's why I'm up here now, just like to demonstrate the concept, because, of course, to get to this spot, where I'm going to put them there and leave them there, but to get up to there, they have to go through the main storage section here. So, naturally, they try to put their stuff here first, if there's storages that can accept it. That's what you're on about, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
You
can still store stuff, so it's significantly less likely that stuff keeps lying around. But they'll, yeah, basically it keeps the base a bit tidier, but you have to keep an eye on the overflow.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that they, it's not like RimWorlds, which is something that I find I keep going back to for this. It's like,
got a good storage system.
If only they had the storage management system like they had in RimWorlds. Hint, hint, if the developer ever spots this, which I seriously doubt. But yeah, RimWorld is a really good way of managing its depots, because like it's pawns, I think they're called. They're smart enough to grab stuff from a lower priority stockpile and put them into a larger priority stockpile. So, you know, they can self-manage. But the thing is that pawns in RimWorld are actually smarter than Bricktrots, so you know.
Actually, I think it would be fine if they did two changes to the priority system and how Bricktrots operate. One being that Bricktron checks if there's any storage available for the item he's currently crafting, and if there isn't, he'll leave it in the crafting station. But if he starts the crafting task, he'll check if there is an item in the crafting station already, and moves that before crafting the next item. And if he can't move it, he won't start a new item.
Right, in answer to what Lol just said, what will you test? Basically whatever you can come up with, Lol. So that's the point of this. But what I've just put in there is a demonstration of what you were talking about. So
Kinda a simplified version, yeah.
Yes, it's a really simplified. This is basically as small as I think it'll go. So, what happens is, the enemies comes in from the left, and they start to bash the wall. But the thing is, they've got to bash through enough to... but if they bash in these first few bits here, they won't knock down the top bit until they hit this layer here. So they've got to get to this bit here before they affect things on top at the front. So, you know, it helps protect the top of the wall and the defences, that kind of thing. But I will point out straight away, before Raszul can step in, that his concept is really for a taller wall, because this is not safe anyway. Anything on here is going to get hit rather quickly by the corruptions. So the principle is that the front of a wall will collapse, but the top will stay intact. That's kind of what you're going for there, isn't it?
Actually, I had a little bit different design in mind.
Lay it on me.
Yeah, probably completely different, but whatever.
Lay it on me. Well, I only put like a 2-block test section, so, you know.
Yeah, probably we need probably at least a 4 wide section of wall for that to probably work.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. It's like, but this is like the absolute minimum.
We have 2 layers that are at the right angle to the approaching, the way they approach from.
2 layers. Wait, so
basically they move at the wide side of the block. The first layer and the second layer alternating, not being next to each other, but 1 block offset. Basically, and the first approach was correct. Let me quickly paint. I got paint, so lead paint skills.
Lead paint skills. Okay, Hey Sedan says, speaking of RimWorld, do you plan to do any videos / streams of it? Yes, I do plan to return to RimWorld content. there is actually a vote going on the Discord at the moment, which has a grand total of 5 votes. I'm so happy with how much you guys interact with me on there. I really am. But it was asking if I should wait until RimWorld hits 1.0, which is likely to be later this year or early next year, somewhere around there, before I start gathering named people to throw into a RimWorld series. We will have the great romance between Lollard and Raszul rekindled once more. We've got to have that back. But right now, it's like multiple people are saying, no, don't wait until you get version 1.0. So that's the general gist of what people are saying. So yeah, there is going to be a return to RimWorld, but it's going to take a while to get there, from the sounds of how it's all looking at the moment. So what you're talking of is like this, Raszul, right?
I just dropped a sketch in Discord.
Hang on. Yeah, so let's go ahead and look and see if I've actually put what you wanted to show. Well, first thing I see is a screenshot from Legion about him Kerbal Space Program. That's not it. Top-down site. What?
It's still a regular two-thick wall,
Right.
but we got the... How do I explain it? How do I explain it best?
Let's lock that one for the moment and get another build task out, since, well, I told these guys they couldn't build it, so that's okay. Right.
So,
So what you're talking about is... Yeah, I get it. So it'd be like that. And then this top-down... The top-down bit's confusing me, though. Really.
basically you have, just like the blocks currently on the screen, you have one block facing the enemy with the white side, and the row behind that is offset to the side by one block. And when you move up, you shift it
like
again.
That. Oh wait, no. So
basically, the front and back row are alternating, and the bottom and second row are alternating.
So basically, you're breaking the lockstep. Then.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
And then move the third row and angle to that. Yeah, just like that.
The problem with that is it's both a bit more complex to lay out, and it creates weak points when you hit the ends of the wall. Because there's going to be like these extra single blocks laid in, like that as well. And no matter what to get through, they have to punch the same number of blocks either way. So this is like an extra layer of complication, which I'm not quite sure you actually need, do you?
They need to kill at least 3 blocks in order to get through, maybe 4, depending on how exactly the stuff above is designed.
No, if there's another layer on top, they need to punch through it 4 blocks to create a hole big enough for a small Cruxon to get through. So it'd be like they've got to take out 2 blocks in the front row to clear a 2-block column, because that's how much space it needs to get through it. And then it's the same story for the wall behind it. So if the top of the wall doesn't collapse and allow them to just clamber over, then they just need to do that. But just by doing it like this, they've still got to get through the same 4 blocks either way. Well, you've also got these larger blocks supporting it at the ends as well. So...
Yeah, but you basically moved the single blocks to the back, didn't you?
What?
Ah!
Well,
you did it that way.
Yeah, the problem is that, well, I mean, this is what, the 3rd, 4th time we've come up with this one, actually?
Yep.
I think we've like talked about this particular block layout thing 3 or 4 times so far. And we've always wound up with leaving it with the same opinions that we came into it every time, so... Because it's proved by the fact that we keep having this chat, so, you know.
Yeah, but I think you had the opinion that the double alternating layer was the toughest, but...
My opinion was that it was like actually even, pretty much, in terms of durability between the staggering it and not staggering it. It's just that one's more complex to lay out than the other, and the way you're doing it, staggering it, actually means that there's less support available when the walls actually reach its physical ends. So that makes the ends a bit more vulnerable to collapsing. So...
Yeah, what I don't like about your approach is that you got 2 blocks in the same orientation behind each other, so if one block gets blown off, they can attack the same block with 2 corruptions on the row behind.
Only if there's space for the corruptions to actually get through into that first wall. So they couldn't just like punch that one out and then attack that one with 2 corruptions. They've got to blow out that one and that
once
one.
Once you have the enough space in the first row in order to get a step forward.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Since you alternated the front row top to bottom.
Yeah, so it's still alternated. So to get multiple space for multiple corruptions to attack the rear wall, they've still got to knock out more than one set in the front wall. So it's still 3 blocks you've got to knock out.
Basically, we need the top-down alternating, but the the front bottom, sorry, the front bottom,
yeah, that doesn't
need to alternate.
The patterning for the lower wall, that's absolutely. I don't really see any problems with it, except, as I said, yours is a little more vulnerable on the ends. Overall, though, it's pretty much the same. But then we get back to what I was doing here before you gave me the picture, which is like the bottom layers of the front would be that pattern we've just gone up talking about. So that's the initial layer. But then the upper levels of the wall, because it's a tall wall, they are supported by an additional wall layer behind it. So if the front wall collapses completely, the top layers of the wall won't go with it.
That's the idea, yeah.
Yeah, so
that'll also allow you to properly place the turrets on top without any risk of them being
less risk.
Sniped. There's significantly less risk of them being sniped.
Yeah. Okay. No one has actually come up with any other tests in the chat though, so...
another suggestion I had is for where to place the actual crystal turrets.
The sentry walls.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think if you have a plain wall, thickness doesn't matter, just a plain wall, and make a small, say, square turret that extends from that wall directly forward, basically a T-shaped wall section. It's going straight, going out, going to the side again, going back again, going straight again. Just a small outcropping, basically.
Yeah, I get you. We're talking about like having that's an actual official name for this. I forget what it is.
Yeah, I read it as well, but I forgot as well. So whatever.
Yeah, but you're talking about was it marionettes? No, that's not right.
Marionettes are kind of puppets, aren't they?
No, but there's also something in castle wall building called a marionette as well.
There's 2 kinds, but one is basically a turret that's just extending from the wall, but is in the wall, and another one where you got basically an additional wall section that connects an outward turret to the wall. Sorry, outward tower to the wall.
Yeah, so it's like extending it outwards so that it can fire back towards the wall to help focus more power on things that are actually attacking the wall itself. The problem with that we get to then is the corruptions themselves being complete and utter idiots. So they're as likely to attack the wall of the tower as they are to attack the wall further back. It all depends on how close they get before their pathing says, nope, this is shorter, go this way.
Which is why I would not use tower with extension, but just the tower directly on the wall, but in front of the wall. Just killing the passage between the wall and tower, and moving the tower directly to the wall.
Yeah, so like this. You mean, it's just like have...
I think yeah.
I keep leaning towards this being called a marionette, but it's like... but basically this is like... It juts out a bit so that stuff can shoot down. I'm actually, Raz, I should point out that I've actually done miniature versions of this.
Yeah, the problem is the ones you have placed block each other.
Not really, that's why they're spaced slightly, so they can shoot past each other.
They block each other when they have to fire directly at something on the wall. If they have to fire something that's slightly off the wall, they're perfectly fine. but when fired directly at the wall at, say, 20 meter or 10 meter, at a bit more than half the range, then the ones on the left and right to them are a little bit in the way.
So it sounds like the issue you've got here is that I've put them too close together.
Yep.
So something like that, like space them out 2 between, would probably be better. And welcome to the stream, Harry.
2 between might be better, but if the angle becomes flat enough, they'll still hit either the next crystal or the block supporting it.
Yeah, but that's always going to be an issue no matter what you do. So...
But if you extend them forward, then those on the side of the forward section can fire without issue.
Yeah, like this. Raise them up a bit so they've got more clearance. The thing is, they don't need that clearance. Because once they're out a block player past the wall, they can attack anything that's attacking the wall unless it digs into the wall. So, anything attacking this outer layer of wall, they can fire down on.
The one on the very right can't hit anything on the very left. That's attacking the wall.
But this is again a density problem, because if you have too many, then you're going to get some that are getting in the way and block the others. But if you have too few, then you're not going to have enough to stop the Corruptions full stop.
Which is why I would not place any on the wall, or very few on the wall, and use these little marionettes, whatever they're called, and place a lot of those on them.
So we're talking like, I don't know. You weren't happy with like 2 spacing, so I guess maybe 6 spacing. Or something. Oh, hang on. Let's layer this in, and then I guess what you're wanting is
basically
like this.
They should be spaced just far enough from each other that the range of those turrets is hitting the base of the next next one. Not the those bits, the complete extension of the micro turrets, basically.
Yeah, so you're talking about something like this, so just some kind of suspensions, actually. But the problem is then we've got
no, I mean actually, I meant more like true turrets. Once again, paint skills.
Yeah, that paint would help a lot with what you're, whatever you're trying to talk about. I don't get it. Darn it. Honestly, something like this is better suited for archers because then they can reposition across the towers. If we're going to use sentry wards for this, then we've naturally got this restriction. Oh, while we've been talking, I've actually almost filled up the rear stockpile with stone. But yeah, what we're talking about is sentry towers. Either some are going to be blocked no matter what, or it's got to be a really thin one to let them fire down in both sides. So that's always going to be a bit of an issue.
I thought about actually placing. Give me a second.
We should probably actually start building stuff, to be quite honest.
Oh, dang it. When you überpills, paint skills fail.
Yeah.
I meant more like this. There we go.
Okay,
I should
let me check
switch the paint program.
Try to build it on the stream.
Basically, the range between those extensions. The extension should be 3x3 as a base, something like that. So an archer can stand in the middle, or maybe on a raised block, with towers all around him. And the space between 2 of those small towers on the wall should be about the range of those crystal turrets.
We have 2 serious problems with that, actually. First off, I don't think we can tell the range of the sentry wards, or the rangers, or anything else. We don't actually have a hard return on their range, I don't think.
Then just guesstimate.
And the second thing is, if we space them out to maximum individual perfection, like you're showing that, yeah, we don't get range indicators on these, then there'll be so few that we would be able to stop the Corruption invasion anyway. So, because just a couple spaced out like that, that's not going to be anything like enough. Oh, Zap can join us. Yay, spawn Zap. But yeah, but what you're talking about is like really, really, really low density.
Actually, I don't think that's so low density. Okay, maybe say half range distance.
Even that. Even that.
Just record how far their range is. At least 8 blocks in between.
8 blocks. Lengthways or widthways?
Square blocks, not beams.
That's a slightly more reasonable, but it's still very low density. So that'll be 4 of them, and then it'll be like that. That's what you're talking about.
Let me quickly check if the stream is still current, so I can actually see what's...
2, 3, 4. So something like that. And then just have them stepping out of line. Like that. And then what you're talking about is having the sentry wards, place them on top like that. So something like that. I mean, take a look at that and then think back to...
No, I don't.
What I was doing.
I actually don't need that.
You said 8 blocks between.
Yep, but a 3x3 extending turret on the ends of that 8x8.
3x3 extended turrets.
A complete tower extending from the wall.
Okay.
Sorry, my English dropped up.
Flipping English. Ah.
Yeah, non-native languages.
3x3 tower. Well, I can slap up a 3x3 tower really quick.
So basically, we got the wall, then 8 length wall section, and on either end of that 8 length wall section, extended from that wall is a 3x3 turret. Sorry, tower.
Any separation, or would it be like up against the wall?
It would be directly on the wall, but in front of the wall.
Yeah, so basically what I'm doing here then.
Yep.
This is what you're talking about right now.
Yep, just like that.
Your latest trip off the boundaries of sanity.
Sanity? What's that? Is it edible?
All I know is that it's very overrated. Okay, let's apply that one so that one gets put together as well. What I've done is, what we were talking about, like overlapping a thick, taller wall. I've just built that up with enough space to show for it. So what we've got here is what we mentioned earlier, is like this rear wall is identical to this front wall in the front. But if the front 2 layers get knocked out, the top section will not collapse on top of it. So they've got to knock into the 3rd layer before they have any chance of even disrupting the top layers of this wall. So that's kind of what we were talking about there. Okay.
Yep.
That
would be ideal for your main castle wall.
That's being put together quite steadily. Harry Sarso, sorry. It's been a while since I've said your name, Harry. Harry, what if you make a layer of small blocks against the 2 wide, so when they destroy a block, all the small blocks fall and physically slow the corruptrons with physics, like a T-section in the wall? What do you make of that one?
Basically, it's kinda like having gravel on the outside of the wall that when punched falls off.
Yeah, it's like ablative protection, effectively.
It would be very intensive in terms of resources.
It would be very intensive in resources, and...
But for the innermost layer, it might be effective.
Unfortunately, I've got a cautioning anecdote for you, though. Which is, when the corruptrons have knocked holes in my walls before, they've not cared about the collapsed blocks, they just plough straight through. So
that's unfortunate.
Yes, and all I've seen fallen blocks get in the way of is actually your own bricktrons when they came to try and fix it afterwards. So, and that was when an entire... I mean, that was actually seen in the last video, where an entire wall section collapsed, and then the corruptrons just quite happily clambered through the gap. And then I had a bit of trouble actually getting the bricktrons to clean it all up afterwards. So, yeah. Oh, they're actually wandering all the way up to the stockpile up here. Lazy of them. Let's see. So, this is what you're talking about in terms of your 3-block thing, isn't it?
Yep, it is. Except on the middle of the tower, from the rear middle block to the center block, add a two beam on top, so that an archer can stand on there and shoot over any crystals around him.
Yeah, so kind of like that, really.
Not in the middle of the wall. I meant on the tower
No, yeah, sorry. Remember, you're like
50-second delay.
50-second odd delay behind you. Yeah. What I just did there was like I added in an ablative layer, like what Harry Arso said.
He actually asked for 1x1 blocks, not 2x1.
Well, actually, that just doubles the cost. So, but the effects would be identical. So.
I believe he wanted to have the highest possible number of blocks lying on the ground.
Yeah, but the thing is that again, that just doubles the cost, but it doesn't actually increase how much it gets in the way, unless the blocks fall away from each other a little bit more, but they fall in a big heap, unless something disturbs it, so, you know.
There should be corruptors around to disturb it.
Yeah, in which case they just go all over the place and gets hard to clean up. But the big problem here, which actually is a problem with what we were talking about, wall arrangements afterwards. Sorry, what we were talking about earlier. I mentioned that yours is slightly more expensive because the double blocks cost the same as a single block. So that's there for some reason.
Which is weird, but yeah.
Yeah, to be honest though, if I was going to add a layer in front like that, Harry, I would rather just add an extra layer of wall to the wall full stop. Because then it will hold together and collapse on their heads if they punch it too much. So I'd just like to add. I just thicken the wall, but that's my personal preference.
Also, for the extending towers, I meant leaving the front center block clear, so we can place another turret on there.
Leaving the front center one clear for an additional crystal.
So only the centers, the blocking the very center of the turret, and the blocking the rear center of the turret is actually filled. If you get what I mean.
I get what you mean. It was just an idea. Yeah, no worries, Harry. I mean, that's what this stream is meant to be for, really. Like, talking about different ways to build things. So,
one
ideas?
Giant experiment.
Yeah, one big experiment. If you got an idea, just throw it out there and we'll poke at it and laugh horribly. Effectively. Now, we'll talk about it and we'll maybe build it and see. But yeah, my main issue with yours was just flat out the cost, so if the problem is now that my brick storage is actually pretty far away, so yeah. We don't actually need this testing layer here, do we? Not this one. So I'll take my build order and I'll collapse this section of wall, because it'll have roughly the same effect. Because that'll collapse, and then we'll have 6 big blocks that will fall, and there's no tidy up order, so they'll just scatter wherever, basically. And they'll hit my Brictrons in the head. Not quite as good as hitting Corruptrons in the head, but yeah.
Do falling blocks do damage?
No. I've never seen them do damage. But Harry's idea was for them to get in the way. But yeah, as you can see, my people are like not quite sure what to do. Then they just rush past it where they can, and the entire thing kind of like fell in a stack. But that is all loose right now, and I'm just running past it and it's just like randomly pushing it around. So yeah, even Brictrons, they make the path around it, but it doesn't actually do that much to slow them down.
It would slow them down if there was a breach behind that collapse section.
If there was a breach behind it, possibly, but not. Again, I've got that anecdote, remember, from a recent one where part of the wall collapsed and the Corruptrons just climbed through the blocks and didn't really seem to be
they basically forced their way through.
I mean, actually, you're just seeing it here. I mean, on the screen, if you were watching around, it's like, see how easily just passing past is pushing those stone blocks around?
Yeah.
They interfere with orders, like a constant complaint I seem to have is when they drop things next to a weapon rack and then they can't access the weapon rack. But just lying around like this, you can manually order your stuff through really quickly. So the physics doesn't actually seem to be an issue at all.
It's not no issue, it's just a very slight issue.
It's only an issue if you're trying to issue them an order where the game thinks it's blocked because there's a block climb there. So it gets in your way a lot more than it does the Corruptions, if anything.
Yeah, unfortunately. It was a nice idea though. And maybe in that 4-thick wall, having an inner layer that's just 1 block, so once it collapses it gets in the way of breach. Maybe filling up the breach a bit.
Yeah,
might be something to buy time.
Then you got the pushing through thing. Okay, Harryoso's got another suggestion. What about making a trench? Again, unfortunately, that doesn't actually. I tried that. I think it was like 3-4 castles ago.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, what happened was, Harry, the Corruptions, once they started to think, it's faster this way, they jumped down into the trench, and then they punched the dirt on the other side and collapsed part of the wall above it. So, yeah.
I still think you built the trench in that one way too close to your wall.
Yeah, I will give you that one. Yes, because I was literally just trying the trench and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, basically. So.
Yeah, they're basically building it far enough off so they can build. They can punch a layer of stairs up the other side of the trench.
Actually, you've seen some of that in the most recent cast as well, where they started to punch into a dirt wall, trying to make a way to get up into the castle area. So what we're talking about here is like we would have. Let's make.
I would actually exploit that behavior from them. I would actually want them to be punching because while they're punching a wall, they're not punching me.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. What we're talking about here right now is, well, I didn't know this. There is a manual way to do a trench, but there is also a physical way to do it as well. Physically, you can use Control-click to delete individual blocks of terrain, and sometimes this is the most reliable way to go about it. But if you're digging a trench in an area, the best way I've noticed to do it is to
leveling tool and lowering it.
Yeah, flatten tools, invert it to set it to lowering mode, so it digs in. Then you can use that to assign the trench. You've got to make it at least 2 blocks deep, which can be a bit of an issue because it's a flattening tool, not anything. It's not meant for digging big holes. That's what a core is for. So,
and it should be at least 3 blocks from the wall.
Yeah, because if you want to protect the dirt, you want to actually lay in a wall on your side of the trench as well. And a 1-high wall, Harry, they'll just hop down or climb up that without any hesitation at all. They'll act as if there wasn't actually a trench there.
Actually, climbing a 1 block is still slower than moving a 1 block.
It is still, but well, okay.
So you may actually use that to scatter a couple of 1 block high rows in front of your wall to make some obstacle course.
Again, possible. However, it is also slightly easier to just, it's a bit more accessible. At least most people have seen to just lay bricks out instead. And that's
that's what I meant. Just a single row of bricks in front of your wall.
No,
but space from the wall so they don't actually climb on them and onto the wall.
Actually, no, it's a killing zone tactic, Raz. And it's one of the old ones. I recognise it. It's like from way back. The idea is that they have to climb to come into your space, but there is also another concern, which is you want to be able to get out of your space a bit more effectively as well. So what people would do is, what I'm showing on the screen right now, is they would have steps on the inner side of it. So anything heading from the inside outwards would be able to use this step to easily climb up on top of the wall a bit faster, then hop down and then just hop as they go. But anything coming from the outside, which means the Corruptions, they'd have to climb up, jump down, climb up, jump down, and they'd get a lot slower because it's really dense. And then this is where the archers would be standing on the wall behind this, just taking pot shots at them the entire time.
I suggest adding at least 2 of those rows to your defenses, if possible.
Yeah, the only problem with that, of course, is space to put them in. But
space and cost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and time.
Cost I can deal with in the actual series. Time, that's a bit of a concern. I was actually going to do something like that down below, like outside that wall that I gave up on because it just wasn't fit for purpose. But there is space to do something like this in my current defensive kill zone. but you're basically making like an obstacle course to try and stop them from getting through.
Yep.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. It's creating a trench. If you want to actually, you've got to do multiple tries if you want to use the flatten tool to do it, or you can just build a single quarry. Because the quarry...
Yeah, a very flat quarry works the same way, yeah.
The quarry works the same way. It comes with its own staircase, admittedly, so you've got to be aware of that, and you'll have to clean out the staircases afterwards. But...
Or just leave it on the wrong side. So your people can get out into your piece, but are blocked, but the corruptions can't use it to pass over.
They'll just use it to drill down into the trench and then punch the other side, so, you know.
Yeah, they're still taking time for that.
Yeah, it's going to slow them down again, but not much. Harry says, a 1 high wall followed by a 2 deep trench, you basically have a 3 high wall. This is true. But again, then you've got the issue of fixing it, and the fact they'll jump down into said 3 block trench and then punch the other side, trying to force their way out. So you've got repair work to do in there anyway. So
yeah, so far I think the obstacle course, or a 1 wide, 1 deep trench instead of raised blocks, basically lowered blocks.
Honestly, if you're going to use trenches and things, it's easy to fix it if you use stone block instead of relying on digging holes for dirt.
Yeah, but I think they won't punch us if it's just 1 block deep, will they?
If it's 1 block, they'll just climb over it. If it's,
yeah, that's so basically the same idea as the 1 block high micro walls, but instead of raising it above the ground, lowering into the ground.
That's not what Harry's saying though. Harry's saying build a 1 high wall and then a 2 deep trench. If it's the 1 high wall is before the trench, they'll climb up on top of that wall, then just jump down into the trench, same as usual. There doesn't seem to be much of a limit in terms of...
There's no fall damage, yeah.
Yeah, fall damage is not really a thing. So...
Except map edge fall damage.
What?
Which is... the map edge is a good fall, instantly fall damage.
The edge of the map, yeah. As one of my knights found out recently when he was sent flying off it by a
2 of your knights, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's why I built a wall to catch them if they get sent that way again. And it's a good thing I did because it's happened several times since, but you know. But I think I can just jump wob here, off here for demonstration purposes.
We'll see if you'll take damage or not.
Nope, absolutely fine. And I just threw him off a cliff.
I assume so too, but yeah.
Nah, Wob's absolutely fine. I just threw him off a cliff, but he's completely unhurt. So yeah, he's fine.
He takes quite some time to force though.
Yeah.
Almost as if he had a parachute.
Yeah, there's not very much in terms of gravity. Let's put it that way.
Well, they are kinda gelatinous blobs, so who knows about the density?
Well, they're called Bricktrons, and the Corruptrons look like they're literally made of stones, and they drop stone when you kill them, so...
Yeah, but the Bricktrons don't drop stone, and they look more like blobs.
I don't think they drop brimstone, actually. They drop... well, they drop orange crystal. It used to be the exact model for brimstone, but then brimstone got a different model. So I think it's just that they drop regular stone as well, it's just a yellow colour, so you can see where it's come from. Something like that.
So we got the yellow good ones against the grey, bluish
basically,
evil ones.
Corruptrons just drop regular stone no matter what. Let's harvest some brimstone up, actually. How are we feeling?
The blob don't drop bricks, okay.
Make 1 deep trench and 1 high wall. For obstacles, they will attack the blocks, not the dirt, and really slows them down. Yeah, actually, that sounds like it could work. Let's take this one again, since we've already got the thing. And, well, actually, it's still raised up, so... yeah, that's not going to work. So, unfortunately, I don't think any of the tools actually apply to 1 block thickness. I'm going to have to check that, hang on. Flatten task, how narrow can you go? Yeah, 2 blocks thickness is the minimum for flatten. And I think quarry is a minimum of 3, or something like that. Let's check that. Yeah, quarry won't go below 3 block thickness, so if you're going to make a 1 block thick trench, you've got to do it manually, block by block, through the construction interface, rather than using a quarry or flatten tool. Either that or you make a 2 block one and then build a wall. So, you know. One of
The
those.
problem is having too much lowered space limits has a chance of limiting your archers and turrets firing arcs.
Yeah, this is also a thing, which is basically we're talking about certain trenches they're cheap to build.
Which would actually be okay if on either side of those trenches or obstacles we had extended turrets that can fire into those trenches.
Yeah, because really the trench in itself is not going to stop things too well.
It's only slowing them down. It's basically setting them up to be shot at.
I mean, look here. We've got this 1 block deep thing dug out. Oh, this is nice. That quarry was actually basically done, and it stuck around, so I was able to extend it downwards. Okay, that's nice. So I'm just going to dig a second layer out here in this quarry. There's the 3x3. Wait, no, actually, let's stop that. Cancel that. Delete. Stop. Thank you. Because this is actually, ideally, this is what Harry's basically talking about right now. Is, I think, like this. What I'm talking about is like we want to protect the inner layers of dirt as much as we can. But then Harry would want a trench, so it'd be like this. I think. 1 deep trench with a 1 high wall, so they'll punch the wall. There's no guarantee that they'll punch the wall though, that's the thing. They seem to be extremely random in what they punch. It's basically whatever they decide is a good idea to punch, to try and get through. That's what they seem to do. But if we're talking about trenches and barricade lines like this, we want to slow them down while other things are shooting at them, so...
We need to place those other things where they can shoot, yeah.
Yeah, so something like this, we would want to do it like that, but then we want a defensive structure at the end like this, just firing down sideways into the entire trench.
Which means in the center of those trenches needs to be the entrance to your base.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of the corruption deciding, hey, that way is going to take too long. I want to go this way instead, and they start hitting a wall somewhere else. So again, you're running into the pathing issues where they just don't play nice, basically.
If you extend the trenches out, say 5 obstacle rows or 5 brick rows, whatever, and make a snaking path that's at an even level through that obstacle course, basically, so your own brick runs can move through it at a decent pace, but make it only 2 block wide.
Yeah,
so
you're talking about...
swarms of Brictrons can't swarm you guys without having to climb a lot.
Yeah, so we're talking about this one again, which is like slow to get in, but faster to get out of. So we're back to this older pattern again. Well, this is basically what you're talking about. You're talking about like a maze to run through it.
Not exactly a maze, a simplified version, basically. Yeah. Let me quickly use my Uber paint skills again.
Paint skills, I summon thee. Come on. All right, let's actually dig some more iron up while you're doing that. All right, so we've got this stuff going on. We're certainly laying out a lot of stone just trying to poke things. Harry, you're talking about trenches because they are cheap. They are time intensive, but material-wise they tend to be cheap though. Yeah. In fact, normally you'll gain stone from it unless you're adding stone layering as well. In which case it's roughly... well... It depends what you're digging, actually. Where you're making the trench, how much you get back from it. I think it's like a normal full block of dirt is 10 stone, and a actual stone block, which you can see in the bottom of my quarry here, is worth 20 stone a pop, if I recall. Don't quote me on that, I'm not entirely sure. We need to actually test this, so I'm going to reactivate that quarry. Or is it like 5 for dirt and 10 for stone? There's some equivalence return going on. Anyway, let's see. What are you going to get? You're going to get... Okay, that one's punching a stone, and he's got 10. Okay, so he's got 10 from punching regular dirt. force them a specific one wide path, they wouldn't play with that, Harry, because if the path is too narrow, they just start punching stuff because they can't all path through it. So that's why I built. People weren't happy I was building like 4-block wide entranceways. But when I was building like 2-block wide entranceways, even if I left the door out, most of the corruptions would just punch the walls anyway. So they don't like to wait; they get very impatient. Okay, that was punching us. No. Okay, you're punching. Nab is punching a stone block. What are you going to get? You've got 10. Okay. Fine. I stand corrected.
I just posted the quick image.
Hang on.
I didn't count the blocks or anything, but just for the idea.
Okay, so it is up to 10 per dirt or stone block. There's no differences in what you're mining to make your quarry, so no matter what, you'll get 10 back. And when they build up, when they build up 80, you get 4 blocks, which is 20 each. So each of these big stone blocks, the two large ones, are worth 20 stone to create. However, they use one of these to make a single stone block as well, so single stone blocks are actually double the cost to build. So yeah, think on that one for a bit. I don't quite understand how that works, but it's because they take these 2 by 1 stone blocks and they turn it into a 1 by 1 by the power of science and all that. So yeah,
they basically don't place a half block and get a couple of gravel back. They just place the entire block.
Yeah, they place the entire 2-size block and get a single stone piece in return. So yeah.
If that single stone block gets broken, however, will that return the entire drop of the 2 beam, or will it return half the?
I do not know. This requires testing. Besides, let's just let the quarry out at the moment. Okay, right. To test this, I don't think they give it back because it counts as a single stone block being destroyed, but don't quote me on that. So I'm going to build a double-sized block and a single-sized block here.
Destructive testing, yay!
Yeah, we test things by breaking them. Huzzah! Okay, let's just get those laid in, and then we're going to break these one at a time and see how much stone we get back. And look, oh, the guy's that's sitting there saying there's nothing to do. Oh. Okay, let's apply that. Let's get one of these blocks murdered. No, only one person, please. What do you got? He's got 8. Yeah, he got 10 back. Confirmed. He punched a single thing. He got 10 back. So we don't get full return from that. Let's punch the other block and see what that one gives me. And they all just come flocking because it's like something to do.
They are kind of bored.
Yeah. And yeah, you got 20 back from the 2 sides, so yeah. It's
basically a good way to destroy materials, yay!
The thing is that happens anyway if you destroy a stockpile, you don't get the stuff on the stockpile back. So, yeah.
Yeah, but stockpile destruction is something you try to avoid.
Yeah,
block destruction is something you tend to use to stop corruptons.
Yeah, but you said there's a way to get rid of materials. There's a way to get rid of materials, there's nothing more efficient than losing a stockpile. Let's see, Harry also said making trenches to force them on what specific one-wide path. We talked about that one because if it gets too narrow, they decide there's already someone trying to go that way, so they just punch things instead.
Do they punch things or do they path around and start punching?
They prefer punching. Hands down, they always love to punch things. Punch first, ask questions later. Even if there's like a massive force and a wide gateway, then a few will use the gateway, the rest will try to punch something, and then when they've finished punching the thing, they'll think about it and then decide, oh wait, there's a gateway over there, I'll wander that way instead. So, yeah, murderous little things, aren't they? What will they punch if the trench is 6 deep? Will they jump down? Yes, if the trench is blocking the way and they decide and they don't find a way to go through, they'll jump down the gap and then start punching things on the other side in the direction that they want to go. So
until they got a staircase high enough up, yeah.
Yeah, until they've managed to break a way through, which will let them climb back out. Otherwise, apart from that, if they can't find a way, they'll just basically savage things at random, trying to go in a general direction of where they want to get to. So,
different question. If you build can you build a quarry an underground? So basically you have one quarry and then build another quarry that's starting at the side of that quarry, at the bottom of it?
I believe you can.
And can you do that underneath your crystal? Because on the map you're currently playing on, you got that tunnel going onto into your base.
Actually, no. I remember I tested this before, but if you look at this quarry on the screen, as you can see, it's trying to quarry down, but it's also trying to quarry up as well to match the. So anything above it is going to try to harvest. So the only exception being the crystal, which is actually based on indestructible blocks. So if you look at saying, nope, you can't dig these ones out right underneath the crystal. That also accidentally answered Harry's other question right now, which is what happens if you destroy the blocks under your crystal? You can't. I will.
You can't destroy the blocks directly underneath, or any depth beyond that.
You just want me to try and break the world, don't you?
If you can make a crystal hover in the air, outside of range of anything that can attack it.
I don't think it works that way because I've tried to separate dirt blocks before in testing. And it's basically once there's too few dirt blocks connected, they just crumble. So
yeah, but crystal has indestructible blocks, not dirt blocks.
Ah, hang on. I've just told it to dig downwards in a clearance move, and it is. I'm not sure what that is actually. What I'm looking at on the screen here. Max priority. Bricktrons, start breaking the ground, please. Let's see what happens. However, I have dug into around the crystal several times in my attempts at the Castle Story series, and it's always been like this square of dirt around the crystal, which they couldn't dig into when I was trying to lay a floor. So,
but it can use that to prevent enemies from punching the crystal. They have to fire at it, shoot at it.
I don't think so. We'll see if we can dig this out. See if we can.
If you dig 4 deep, then they can no longer punch, or 5 deep for the troll.
Move the blocks and let corruptions destroy the dirt directly under. And let the corruptions destroy the dirt directly under it. That sounds like a recipe for something collapsing, honestly. Because whenever we've had something give way underneath a structure element, the structure itself gets destroyed. So
it would be worth testing out in a very quick match where you basically run away during the waves, have your storage at the other side of the map, and leave your crystal on that lone pole in the middle of nothing.
You were getting very loud there, Raz.
Sorry.
Right. If you see on my screen, it's left not just the stuff it was highlighting as a problem area on the digging, on the ground leveling task. It's also left a wider section around it. So there's always this little space where a corruption could stand and punch said crystal.
If they can get up.
If they can get up, yes. The Bricktrons are digging around it right now. Can they dig it? Yeah, they can make it into a 2 deep. Hang on, I think I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, they're digging underneath that section now. Actually. They're starting to tunnel around underneath it. Unfortunately, we don't have a good view. Let's extend the size of this a little bit.
That could be basically an interesting way of ensuring the crystal can't be hit by melee.
Now the thing is, I have a this does prevent melee contact with the crystal, admittedly, unless the dirt underneath the crystal counts as being part of the crystal, which is possible. But I have a theory, which is if you break off dirt from touching if you break off too little dirt from touching the crystal, that dirt crumbles. So if you've got enough dirt, it can sustain itself and stay hovering. If you have too little, it just collapses. That's my theory on it, and I've never really gone out of my way to try and test it until now. You know, I think some high explosives might help here, actually.
Yay! Explosive testing! Not just destructive. Suicidal explosive testing. Let's see if we can blow the crystal up.
Got it. Well, we go for over an hour, so we do need to be thinking about how we're going to end the stream. A violent explosion sounds like as good a way as any. So, you know.
Yeah, basically what we came up with is obstacle course plus well, tower extension from the turret. Sorry, from the walls.
Not convinced there, because you were again talking about like massive amount of extra work and not enough density in defensive fire. So
if I look at, for example, the map you're currently playing on, the first wall that's the outer wall that's collapsed already, or was abandoned by you. If you used that already somewhat tight choke point, build basically a elongated tower on the either side to fire into the middle of that choke point, and then a bit further in place the actual wall with the entrance. And between the start of that entire section and the wall, place the obstacle course. Then you got the entire size of that choke points to fire into the obstacle course. So it should be enough firepower.
Yeah, but then we've got the problem with that the waves escalate. So, you know, that's also a slight issue.
Yeah, but that's an issue regardless of the kind of defense you use.
Also true. Often, I need to shed some stone, so I'm actually building a massive concrete pillar, max priority here, just to empty my stockpiles out, so that we've got something else to work on. Harry says he meant remove the blocks around and let the corruptions destroy the dirt underneath. Well, actually, that's what we answered. I think that's going to cause a collapse, something to collapse and give way. If it leaves a pyramid, it won't work, but otherwise it might work. That's why I'm digging a bigger section out, because it's not letting me dig out the top layer of dirt, but it's letting me dig around underneath it. So I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I think that outer layer it's required for spawning people.
No, it's not. They spawn further away than that.
Maybe as a safety setting kind of thing?
I don't know. If they spawn only on the outer layer, then that means we'll need some kind of direct access. No, we won't. We can tell them to just jump off the edge if it comes to that. So, never mind. But yeah, basically, I'm just trying to tell these guys to go ahead and just. Actually, I can turn these processing off. I don't need them anymore.
If that works, it's kind of exploity, isn't it?
Yeah, might be an exploity thing. This, if it works. But if my theory about things having to be connected to a crystal in some way is valid, we might collapse the entire island. Probably not, but you know, if that is a thing, then it might be a thing.
Yeah, that might actually crash the game with the amount of processing that has to be done.
However, there is a counterpoint to this, which is the fact that some maps have free floating islands which aren't directly connected by dirt to your crystal anyway. So
probably the island won't fall, but the crystal might.
In which case, it might just destroy the crystal and be a game over anyway. You know.
It would be funny if you could pick the crystal up and move it around afterwards.
That would be nice to have anyway, but because often where the crystal spawns is pretty darn inconvenient. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Even on the current map, where you got the nice choke points, there would be so much better locations for your crystal.
Actually, this map is designed to have you attack from 3 directions. So, but there is, however, a whole bunch of extra space where you can actually put stuff, and there's things like this over here as well, like random spots you can just bridge across to exploit and use. So there's a lot of stuff. It seems to be leaving a bit of an inverse pyramid effect underneath here. But again, we don't really know until they've dug it out more thoroughly, and that's why I was emptying my stockpiles just to speed this up. And they're just throwing out stone at random on that entire section. Actually, I have to make steps, that'll be faster. And these are the small steps, of course, so they're twice as expensive as the regular ones. So.
Just to waste more stuff.
Yep. Because obviously I gathered too much resources, we didn't even need all this stuff. Alright, let's see. Anyway, I put together an altar, which lets us build crystals. We don't need those. I've got
We do need some explosives, so...
bear trap. The machinist won't let us do that. Oh yeah, cogs are in the forge actually, which we might need, but we can make explosive barrels out of planks and brimstone over here. We can also maybe